Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Today we are going to introduce a new series, a Dhamma talk series, and it will be based on this book here called The Handbook of the Buddhist. You don't need to pick up a copy of the book. It's by Venerable Chanda Vimala. And there's no need to pick up a copy of the book. If you can find it, you're encouraged to get it. It's a nice book. There are some English translation problems with it, as well as some Pali transliteration problems. But for the most part, the content is very nice. It's geared towards beginners with no experience, and it will have some details that an advanced practitioner, an advanced Buddhist, one who's been practicing for a long time and knows about Buddhism, can benefit from, because there are details that you might not know, and there are times when you just need to hear the same thing over and over again. And so this is beneficial as well. For instance, we chant the Karaniya Metta Sutta all the time, usually every day, mostly every day, sometimes multiple times per day. And it's just nice to hear, it's nice to reflect. There are many daily reflections that we do, and if you're an advanced person, the most important thing is to remind yourself to follow what you already know. And on top of that, there will be details which will go into further that you might not be aware of, and you might not know of, and we will be covering that. So it's good for both the beginner, the intermediate, and advanced practitioner. What will this book cover? It will cover the first part will cover the triple gem. It will cover the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. I've done this before. I'll re-record these again according to the Visuddhimagga about each of the gems and what they mean, how to follow them, as well as we will cover also the Namo Tassa as the very first lesson, so that we know what Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhase, what that means. And that has been recorded before as well, and we'll do that. And then we'll move into some new material that, about the triple gem and how to revere and respect the triple gem. We'll talk about the Chetiyas, what is a Chetiya, what are relics, and we'll also go further into how to be an upasaka, how to be a devoted person, and that would include avoiding the 10 unwholesome courses of wrong action, and also the 10 wholesome courses of action and of making merit. And we'll also talk about dana, how to do a proper dana, how your mind should be when you're giving dana. We'll also talk about the meditation. We'll talk a little bit about meditation, mostly samatha, and we'll talk about Asubha practice. We'll talk about the listing of all the different meditation subjects of the samatha. There are 40 objects of the samatha. And it's important to know all of these objects because mostly what is taught is anapana, this mindfulness of breathing. And sometimes that doesn't work for people, whereas a kasina might work, or maybe to get someone who is very faith-oriented, they could do buddhanusati as well. So there are 40 objects, and normally what is taught is only one of the objects. It's the mindfulness of breathing. So we'll just list them out, and then later you can talk to a meditation teacher and find out how to utilize some of these new objects that we mention. We'll also mention the characters and the character, the tendency of the person, and what type of character set each object is meant for. We'll also talk about the precepts, and we'll go over a lot more detail than you might be used to. And obviously there's overlap in the precepts and the monk precepts, and we have a lot of information about the precepts. We'll also talk about the kamma, the results of dana, the results of breaking precepts, and so we'll talk a little bit about cause and effect, and we will also talk about the 31 planes of existence. We'll talk about that in detail as well. That pretty much covers the course. We'll also talk about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path, maybe the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. This will be a majority of what is in this book called the Handbook of the Buddhist. So I hope that you can join us for the course. I hope that it will be useful for you and that you'll be able to take the information that is presented in this course. You'll be able to purify your morality. You'll be able to purify your mind by picking an object that is suitable for your samatha concentration, using that for your vipassana meditation, and developing that fully to reach nibbana safely and quickly. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhase. So we have given you the introduction to the course, and of course it is most appropriate for us to start with what does Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhase, what does this mean? This is one of the most popular phrases that is chanted by Buddhist monks, even lay people who give Dhamma talks. They always start with a Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa is shorthand for Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhase. So it's normally when we give the 5 precepts, we just say Namo Tassa, and the lay people automatically know that they need to chant Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhase. It's chanted before 5 precepts for taking triple gem. It's chanted before any Dhamma talk. And it's also chanted before any chanting, like paritta chanting, etc. So it is, we could say that it is the most chanted phrase that Buddhist monks chant anywhere in the world, because we always start with Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So we're going to talk about that, what it means. We know, you might know that it means, basically reverence to the Buddha, paying homage to the Buddha, giving the Buddha credit for the Dhamma that he preached. Not only that he preached, but that he discovered. So this is what a Buddha does. He discovers the teachings. So it's very important to know what it means on a detailed level, so that when you're chanting it, and you also chant this at the beginning of Dhamma talks with the Buddhist monk, if you know the word-by-word translation and you also know the grammar, you'll have a deeper meaning, deeper understanding of what you're saying, and then it has more power. So we're going to talk about a short teaching on what it means, the basic meaning, word-by-word translation, and the basic grammar. So the basic meaning: Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I'm going to be repeating this phrase a lot of times during this Dhamma talk, this introductory Dhamma talk. And what does it mean? It means my reverence to the Blessed One, to the Worthy One, to the fully self-enlightened One. Now we'll talk about Namo Tassa. As I said before, this is the short version of what of representing Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo means reverence or homage. It means giving respect. You might have heard of the word namaste. They use that in India or Nepal. When I was there, they use that. And some people who like Eastern religions, they might say namaste, they might say namasaka, and they might say namaste, namasaka, namaskara. Namaskara is also very close to namo. And namo means reverence, and homage. Homage to who? So namo would always have something that it goes towards, and it's to him with a capital H. This is the Buddha. This represents the Buddha. And we have the suffix ssa, and the stem word ta. Ta means him, and it's to him. So we have tassa, tassa, namo tassa. And when we have a double consonants, we actually pronounce each syllable separately. So we have tassa, tassa. It's like two different syllables, tas and sa. We also have the Buddha, the Buddha, Buddha. So we'll talk a little bit about the pronunciation. I'm actually not so good at pronunciation. I have a lot of bad habits, but it's still good to know what the proper pronunciation is as well. So we have Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. And now we have Bhagavato. Bhagavato is from the stem word Bhagavant. Bhagavant is the Blessed One. And when we add, we can't really say we add an extension to it, but Bhagavato is the dative case. And Tassa is the dative case. It means to him. And Bhagavato is to the Blessed One. We have Bhagawa. You might have heard of Iti Viso Bhagawa. So this is also from the word Bhagavant. And so this is something to know, that it's the same word, but it has a different ending on it. So it means Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So my homage to him, my homage to the Blessed One. The next word is Arahato. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Oh, I should say that the Blessed One is has so many. We call him the Blessed One because he have so many qualities that he has gained through samsara and through the practice of his bodhisattvahood. And he has so many qualities, we say, that he could not get from his parents. These are qualities of a Buddha, one who sometimes we call him the fortunate one, the lucky one. These are other qualities. There's actually a whole list in the Visuddhimagga of why he's called the Blessed One. And it would be a lecture all in itself, but just wanted to give you some background information. Arahato. So the next word is Arahato. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So Arahato is the same type of word, Arahant, as Bhagavant. Yeah, so we have Bhagavant and we have Arahant. And Arahato is also the dative case of Arahant. And Arahant means that the enemies are destroyed. It means that he is the worthy one. What are the enemies? These are the defilements. It's also greed, hatred, and delusion. They are gone. They are permanently gone. They cannot come back. And this is what is very important. This is what enlightenment is. The Buddha is also an Arahant. I'll talk about that in the next word. But the Arahant can be the disciples. The Arahant can be a Buddha. So the Buddha is an Arahant, and the disciples that have gone the complete way, who have destroyed all of their enemies permanently. They cannot come back. We say like a palm tree that has the crown removed. Once that's removed, it doesn't grow anymore. And so greed, hatred, and delusion are gone, and these are the causes for rebirth. They are the causes for rebirth, and the goal in Buddhism is to reach not only nibbana, but parinibbana. This means that there is no more birth. After the death, there is no more becoming. There is no more birth to be had. And so this is very special to the Arahant. There are different levels of enlightenment that are irreversible. They cannot decide, I decided I want to have another life because I could be a good teacher or something like that. And now that I know the way, I want to have another life. They can't do that. It's permanent, and they wouldn't have such thoughts like that, anyways. But it's permanent. It cannot be done. There are 4 levels of enlightenment, and we'll get into that later on into the course. But we say the four pairs. We say the 4 pairs and the 8 types of pugala, the 8 types of individuals. And the last one, and the most important one, is the Arahant. And we call him the worthy one because he has destroyed the enemies. Samma Sambuddhassa. So we have Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So Arahato meant to the worthy one. And the Samma Sambuddhassa also means to, it also is the dative case. Actually, they're all dative case. And we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about Samma Sambuddhassa. So, Samma Sambuddhassa. So, we have the extension similar to the first word, Namo Tassa. So, Namo Tassa is to him, and Samma Sambuddhassa is to the perfectly self-enlightened one. This is the Buddha. We have, it's important to know that the Samma Sambuddhassa is the Buddha that you know. And especially in Theravada, it's very important to know the difference between the Buddhas of the different traditions. And Buddha can mean the awakened one, it can mean someone who's enlightened, but the Samma Sambuddhassa, there's no confusion. This is the Theravada Buddha, and he is self-enlightened. And one doesn't just decide to become a Buddha in this life and get fully enlightened and become a Buddha. It doesn't work like that. One needs to slowly, over time, what we say is for asankhya and 100,000 eons, we could say they slow cook. They develop their qualities. We call that the parami. And it's very important that they develop these qualities in order to be able to discover the teachings. And in order to be able to discover the teachings, you need to have incredible qualities and intelligence. There are people who can figure things out, and there are people who can be taught how to do things, and they can do things very well. The difference between like an arahant disciple and a Samma Sambuddhassa is this is the one who discovers the teachings, and the other is one who followed the teachings to the fullest. So you can understand, we can use a little bit of a simile with Einstein. So most people agree that Einstein had the incredible amounts of mental power, and we could say that he discovered the laws of physics that already existed. And he discovered, he didn't create the laws, but they already existed, and he was able to discover them and to make them known to the world. And so we have people who get PhDs. They're very intelligent. They're very special people. They're very special people. People who get PhDs in physics. They're very special people. But these people are not Einstein. They don't have that mental power to be able to discover the teachings. They don't have that power. But they're extremely powerful people because they're PhDs in physics. And they can also teach. They're not prohibited from teaching. They usually become professors. They become professors, or they do research, and they might, this is where the simile, the metaphor, sort of veers off, because PhDs discover things, they discover other things. But the great teachings, no, is very rare. And if there is someone like that, then they become a great person. But the main thing is that there are no previous teachers of the true Dhamma, and he is one who discovers it. So PhD, he has many teachers himself, and then he might do some research. In the same way, we have the Arahant disciples. The Arahant disciples are very, very special people. They have learned the teachings, some of them through the power of what we call parami. They have also made determinations to be able to learn the teachings based on just a few lines of the Dhamma, sometimes repeated by another disciple, not necessarily the Buddha himself. They're able to get enlightenment, or the first stage of enlightenment, just by hearing just a small amount of Dhamma. But these people have made a determination to become a disciple who can learn with just a small amount of lines of Dhamma. They actually follow the Buddha in samsara. If you learn about the jatakas, the past life stories, you'll understand that when the Buddha finishes his story, he'll say, "And who was such and such, and who was such and such, and who was such and such?" He reveals that he was usually the leader, and the people he led were some of his disciples. And it's very nice. They've been following each other for through samsara for an extended, also an unimaginable length of time. And so the Buddha discovers the teachings. There are no teachings related to the true Dhamma. And there were teachers of, let's say, samatha, like samadhi, but these were not true Buddhist teachings. And we'll get into this throughout this course. We'll get into what the true teachings are related directly and exclusively to Buddhism. So we have Samma Sambuddhassa. So we have the SSA extension, and Samma Sambuddhassa, like Tassa. It's homage to, we connect Namo to Samma Sambuddhassa. And so it means homage to the perfectly self-enlightened Buddha. The Arahant is also, the Samma Sambuddhassa is also an Arahant, but an Arahant is not necessarily a Samma Sambuddhassa. So the Buddha himself has also removed, permanently removed greed, hatred, and delusion. The Buddha says the difference between an Arahant and the Buddha after death, there is no difference in when we talk about the parinibbana, the attainment of parinibbana. Because when the Buddha, when he dies, or an Arahant, let's say a disciple of the Buddha, when both of them die, there is no difference. There is no more becoming, and there is no more self, no more being, no one who lives in some alternate universe, in some other plane of existence, or some other realm, or some other undescribable realm. There's no self or anything like that exists. It's very important to know that. And sometimes people teach that there is some type of Buddha living somewhere else, and you can talk to him, and there's no such thing as that. And so when both of them die, the Arahant and the Samma Sambuddhassa, when both of them die, there is no difference. But the Buddha has so much more power, and he has this omniscient knowledge. There are so many qualities of the Buddha, and we are going to talk about the 9 qualities of the Buddha in the next lecture. And so let's move forward. So we've covered the grammar. So we have dative of tassa. We have dative of Samma Sambuddhassa. So I'm going out of order, but I'm showing that the forms of the word are the same or similar. So we have tassa and Samma Sambuddhassa. because of the same type of words. And then we have the dative form of the Bhagavato, and we have the dative form of Arhato. Dative means, actually I didn't really know what dative meant until I started studying Pali, but the dative means two. You stick a two in front of the object, and that is the dative case. So we have the Bhagavato and we have the Arhato. So they're all dative. And what does it mean? It means my respect to him, my respect to the Blessed One, my respect to the Arhat, and my respect to the Buddha, the Samma Sambuddhasa, the perfectly self-enlightened one. We can actually put half of the Pali in, Namo to him, Namo to the Blessed One, Namo to the Arhat, and Namo to the Samma Sambuddhasa. So, and then we have Namo Tassa, Namo Bhagavato, Namo Arhato, Namo Samma Sambuddhasa. So we can put Namo in front of each word to get the true meaning. And in the short form, we have the phrase Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. Tassa means to him. Namo Tassa Bhagavato means, Namo means my homage to the Blessed One. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato. Namo to the Worthy One. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. To Namo is my homage to the fully enlightened one, the fully self-enlightened one, the Buddha, the Samma Sambuddhasa. So in conclusion, we covered the basic meaning. We covered the word-by-word definitions. And included in the word-by-word definitions, we covered the basic grammar. So now what we will do is we will chant 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. And so now you understand directly on a deeper level what Namo Tassa means. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhasa. How many times have I said this in this Dhamma teaching? But it's very important. And we can repeat ourselves so many times, but it really doesn't matter because we're bringing to mind these wholesome qualities again and again and again. And like I always say, some people the Mahatera actually of our organization, he's passed away, but he did over 1 million times the 9 qualities of the Buddha. When you see people with malas, and I'll get into this into the next lecture, they have the beads, the beaded the beads they have in their hand. I guess people wear them around their neck, but Buddhist monks should not wear them around their neck. But they're used for counting. They're used for counting, and they count. They count the qualities of the Buddha. They say all 9 qualities of the Buddha, and then they make 1 bead. They mark 1 bead, and then they do another round of 9, and then they do another bead. And there are 108 beads in the mala, and they only count that as 100. They don't count it as 108. And they add up, they count, and they put little tick marks on the piece of paper, and they add them up, and they might keep track of how much per day, and then they count up everything and have all the totals. And people do that. I don't know if he made an estimation. He probably made an estimation. I'm sure it's more than 1 million. And but that's what it is. So we can chant some of these wholesome qualities again and again and again. And how many times can we give homage to the Buddha? There's not enough times that we can give homage to the Buddha. And so when we repeat these phrases again and again, or we're learning them again and again, we bring them to mind and we take these qualities. It's very important. We need to bring these qualities again and again and again into our mind. We chant the discourse on loving kindness. We chant every day, almost every day, sometimes twice a day. It depends on what's going on. But we chant this so many times. We don't complain. Oh, we chanted loving kindness. We chanted it yesterday, or we chanted it early in the morning. Why do we have to chant it now? No, we just chant it, and we try to focus on the meaning, and we try to bring this to mind. And so that's what's important. One of my friends, he's very well educated, and he did the program at ITBMU. This is an international Theravada Buddhist missionary university. He's well educated, overeducated, and he knows Pali and Sanskrit, definitely Pali better than his English. And I once asked him, I said, you have to do this diploma program, this first year beginner program. Gosh, this is like a waste of time. He says, no, we have to review, and we have to review our, we have to make sure we know things, and we just listen in the class, and we bring to mind good qualities. And the good qualities, the Dhamma talks that we're learning, the lectures that we're learning. And he said that it keeps the mind wholesome, keeps the mind busy on wholesome tasks. And so that's what's important. Hopefully we're giving some new points to you, some new reflections at the end, and I hope that you can benefit from these teachings. More detailed, more on a deeper level than you might have known before. If you already knew this, you're bringing it to your mind, and I hope that you can properly know Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, which is the beginning of every Dhamma sermon, and every Dhamma lecture, and every Dhamma chanting. So it's very important to know this, and then your mind can be more relaxed, and it can also be relaxed with knowing, with wisdom, so that you can take the teachings that you're about to learn or hear and take them into your mind and have a very calm mind, and to reflect on these teachings, reflect on the true Dhamma, so that you can understand with wisdom the teachings and attain Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.